Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling. On a quiet London evening, as rain traced silver lines down the window, British psychic Eleanor Pierce prepared to close another long day of work. She had spoken with many souls before, soldiers, mothers, children, but never expected that tonight, someone from another world, another language, and another story would reach out to her. A message appeared on her phone. He doesn't rest. He can't. His name is Menglong. And from that moment, the air in her apartment began to change. For more than 2 decades, Eleanor Pierce had lived between two worlds, the tangible one that everyone else could see, and the unseen one that whispered through candle smoke and empty rooms. Her neighbors thought of her as the quiet woman who rarely left her small flat in Camden, the one who always burned sage and left her windows open, even in the rain. But to those who sought her out, Eleanor was something different. A bridge, a voice that could translate grief into meaning. She never called herself a medium or a fortune teller. She preferred the term listener. For years she had helped mothers find closure, soldiers find peace, lovers find a way to say goodbye. Her work was not about spectacle. It was about silence, the silence that comes after loss and the courage it takes to hear what remains inside it. Yet lately that silence had begun to change. Her readings left her drained in ways she could not explain. The air in her apartment sometimes grew heavy, as if unseen eyes were watching from corners she could not reach. During her online sessions, clients reported strange interference. Voices layered over hers, shadows shifting across their screens. Eleanor told herself it was only exhaustion, but deep down she felt a gathering weight, something that wanted to be heard but could not yet find its words. That night, after finishing a session with a widow who still set a place for her husband at the table, Eleanor was tidying the small round desk where she worked. The rain outside struck the window like fingertips. Her phone buzzed once, startling her. A message from an unknown number appeared. A single sentence without punctuation. He doesn't rest. He can't. His name is Menglong. She read it twice, then again, the name unfamiliar yet oddly magnetic. For a long moment she stood motionless, the dim light of the screen illuminating her face. Curiosity won over caution. She opened her laptop and typed the name. 1,000 headlines unfolded before her. An actor found dead under mysterious circumstances, questions unanswered, grief unhealed. And in that instant, the air around her shifted, carrying the first faint tremor of something reaching out from beyond the grave. Eleanor sat in the dim light of her study, her fingers brushing over the rough wood of the old table that had seen hundreds of conversations between worlds. The message still glowed faintly on her phone, its words echoing in her mind long after she had read them. She lit 3 white candles, one for truth, one for clarity, and one for peace, their small flames trembling like hesitant voices. The city beyond her curtains was silent now, the rain easing into a soft drizzle. She took a slow breath and whispered almost to herself, "If there is unrest in you, Menglong, I am listening." The air seemed to tighten around her, the kind of stillness that comes before an answer. At first there was nothing, only the soft hum of electricity, the distant rumble of a passing train. Then the surface of the water in the glass bowl before her began to ripple, as though disturbed by an invisible touch. The flicker of candlelight bent and straightened again, its glow turning from gold to a pale, silvery hue. Eleanor felt the hairs rise on the back of her neck, her pulse quickening with both fear and awe. Then came a voice, so faint she almost thought it was her imagination. It was male, young, and trembling with something beyond pain. "I didn't want to die," it whispered. Her breath caught in her throat. "Menglong," she said softly, her voice shaking. "I hear you." The reply came after a long pause, carried on what felt like a sigh. "They said it was art," the voice murmured. "They said it would make me eternal." The tone was filled with confusion, disbelief, and a grief so heavy that Eleanor felt her own chest tighten as though she were breathing through his sorrow. She leaned forward, her palms flat against the table, trying to steady herself. "What did they do to you?" she asked, her words barely more than a breath. The candles flickered again, and the air grew colder. "They made me part of their masterpiece," came the reply, fading in and out like a weak signal on the wind. "They said my suffering would be beautiful." Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. The voice was fragile, fractured, but alive with a truth that refused to die. And in that moment she knew, this was no hallucination. This was a plea from somewhere beyond, a soul desperate to be heard. The voice drifted through the dim room like a memory refusing to fade. Eleanor sat motionless, her hands pressed flat against the table as if holding herself steady between two worlds. The air was heavy, thick with something more than grief. It felt alive, vibrating faintly, carrying echoes of anguish that were not her own. "They laughed while they tied me down," the voice said at last, each word sharp and broken, trembling on the edge of despair. Eleanor's throat tightened. The sound was distant yet intimate, as if whispered directly into her ear. She could feel the tremor of fear in it, the quiet dignity of someone reliving a moment he had never escaped. "They wore masks," he continued, his tone flat with disbelief. "Human faces stretched over theirs. They said it was art. That pain was purity." Eleanor's skin prickled. The phrase struck something deep within her, too deliberate to be metaphor, too cruel to be invention. She closed her eyes, picturing a sterile room, bright white lights, the cold gleam of instruments laid neatly on metal trays. "What did they want from you?" she asked, barely able to form the words. "They told me I'd be part of something eternal," the voice replied. "That my face would never fade." "I begged, I screamed, but the music was too loud." Eleanor's pulse raced. "Music," she whispered. "Yes," came the answer, quieter now, filled with sorrow. "A song from my first drama. They played it while they worked." For a moment, Eleanor could almost hear it, too soft, melodic, heartbreakingly gentle. The contrast between that tender melody and the horror in his voice tore something inside her. The candles flickered violently, their flames bending inward as though drawn by his pain. "They drained the color from my skin," he said, "piece by piece. They said I should be grateful that people would remember me forever." Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. The air in the room thickened, heavy with the scent of iron and something faintly sweet, like perfume masking decay. She whispered, "Where did this happen?" But there was no answer, only a trembling silence that seemed to stretch beyond time itself. And in that silence she understood the truth he was struggling to tell, that what had been done to him was not an act of death, but a performance of cruelty disguised as art, a masterpiece carved from agony. The candles flickered wildly, shadows twisting along the walls. "He took what was mine," the spirit whispered. "He buried it under flowers." Eleanor asked, "Who? Where?" "My manager," the voice sighed. "In her garden. She tends to it, not knowing it feeds on what's left of me." Eleanor's breath caught. She felt a rush of cold sweep across her face, as if unseen fingers brushed against her cheek. "What do you want me to do?" she asked. "Find her," he said. "Protect her, my mother. They tell her she's safe, but she's not. The flowers they bring her are from that same soil." Tears blurred Eleanor's eyes. The rain outside stopped, but inside the silence grew louder than any storm. Days later, Eleanor traveled to the edge of London to a small Chinese garden managed by a retired couple. It was peaceful, too peaceful. Among the blossoms she noticed a statue shaped like a face, its surface smooth as porcelain. A cold wind passed, and the scent of jasmine turned metallic. Her phone vibrated again. No signal, no message, only a faint hum that formed 3 words. "You found me." The voice returned, softer now, grateful. "They thought silence would bury me, but stories don't die. They travel." Eleanor knelt, whispering, "What do you want the world to know? That art should heal, not destroy. That truth is not something to fear." In the weeks that followed, Eleanor began documenting everything. Voice recordings, temperature drops, light patterns across her walls. But what stood out most were the dreams. "She saw you standing by a lake, calm and radiant, his face no longer shadowed. In his hand he held a white feather, a symbol of peace. Tell them," he said, "I forgive them, but I will never be forgotten." Eleanor woke up crying, not from fear but from relief. She realized his message was not about revenge, but remembrance. To be remembered as someone real, not as a rumor or a tragedy. Sometimes the dead speak not to haunt us, but to remind us that silence can be more terrifying than ghosts. Menglong's story, whether you believe in spirits or not, has become something greater. A reminder of truth, love, and the power of memory. And perhaps somewhere beyond the rain and candlelight, a soul finally found its way home. If this story touched your heart, remember, truth lives on when we speak it. You're watching Update X24H, where stories of courage, mystery, and humanity are never forgotten. Backhand index pointing right. Subscribe, like, and share this video to keep the light alive. And join us as we uncover the stories the world tried to silence.